We all make promises. But what happens when one of those promises is a legally binding contract and it gets broken? And more importantly, what if that promise was for something that's truly, completely one of a kind? And that's really the core question here, isn't it? Usually, if someone backs out of a deal, they just pay up. They pay damages, money to cover the loss. But what if the thing you were promised just can't be replaced? What if no amount of cash could ever really make things right again? This slide just lays it all out, crystal clear. Look, if someone promises to sell you 100 tons of oil and then they bail, well, you can just go buy that oil from someone else. You might sue for the price difference, sure, but you'll get your oil. But a contract for a one-of-a-kind painting or a very specific piece of land, you can't just go buy another one. So what's the fix then? Well, when money just won't cut it, the law has this special tool. It doesn't come from the usual playbook of rules and monetary damages. Nope, this one comes from the old courts of equity, which were all about one thing, fairness. And it's a remedy designed for these exact kinds of messes. And here it is, specific performance. It's not about paying for the broken promise, it's about forcing the person to keep it. The court literally orders them to do the exact thing they agreed to do, hand over the painting, sign the deed, fulfill your end of the deal. It does exactly what it says on the tin. This formal definition really hammers the point home. See that phrase, equitable relief? That's the key. It's a signal that this isn't the standard solution. The court only steps in like this when the usual fix, money, just isn't good enough. The court is saying, look, justice in this case isn't about compensation. Justice is you doing what you promised to do. So you can think of it like this. There are two paths the law can take. The main highway, the default route, is damages. That's where you get paid in cash. But for these really unique situations, there's a special side road, the equitable remedy of specific performance. It's a special tool for when the main road just won't get you where you need to be. Now, here's the crucial part. This isn't an automatic right. The court gets to decide, and it follows a really clear set of rules to figure out when to pull out this powerful tool. So what are those conditions? All right, this is basically the playbook straight from the Specific Relief Act of 1877. A court will force the deal when, for example, is part of a trust, or when there's just no way to put a dollar amount on the loss. That third point, that's the classic case we've been talking about. Unique things like art or land where money just isn't an adequate substitute. And think about this last one. What if the person who broke the promise is broke? A judgment for money would be worthless, so forcing them to hand over the actual item is the only way to get real justice. But on the flip side, there are clear lines the court will not cross. It won't order specific performance if money actually is a good solution. And this is a big one. It won't be used for contracts of personal service. A court can't force a musician to perform or an artist to paint. That gets way too close to forced labor. And of course, if the contract's terms are all fuzzy and vague, or if it would mean a judge has to babysit the project for years, the court is going to say, no thanks. Okay, so let's get practical. Let's see how these rules play out in the biggest battleground for specific performance, real estate. The law basically assumes that every single piece of land is unique, which makes these deals perfect candidates for this kind of remedy. In any property deal, the entire thing hangs on the seller's title. That's the legal proof that they actually own the thing they're trying to sell you. And this is where things can get really, really messy. Okay, this is a super important distinction to get. If a seller has an imperfect title, meaning, yeah, they own it, but there's a problem, like a mortgage they need to clear, the buyer can actually use the law to make the seller fix that problem and go through with the sale. But what if the seller has no title at all? Like, they don't own it, period. Well, then the law can't help. You can't force someone to fix a title that doesn't even exist in the first place. So the law sounds great on paper, right? But here's the catch. How well this powerful remedy actually works depends completely on the system that's holding it all together. And what happens when that system is, well, over 100 years old? I mean, just look at this timeline. It's kind of staggering. The main laws that govern these property deals, the Specific Relief Act and the Registration Act, were written in 1877 and 1908. Let that sink in. We're using a legal framework from the age of the steam engine to manage deals in the age of AI. And this is where the trouble really starts. An old-school, paper-based system, it's vulnerable to everything. Humidity, pests, and, of course, fraud. And get this, it can take up to 2 years for an ownership record to actually be updated. That creates a huge window of uncertainty.
It's a massive reason why the powerful promise of specific performance gets bogged down in court, with endless fights over who really owns what.
So, if the old system is the problem, what's the solution? How do we build a system that can actually stand behind these unique promises in today's world? The answer is a full digital upgrade, e-registration. Just imagine it. You could instantly verify a property's title online. All the documents are submitted electronically, and the central database gets updated immediately, not in 2 years. And here's the real game changer, a property alert system that sends you a text the second someone starts a transfer process on your property. The benefits here are just massive. Your digital records are safe from being destroyed or stolen. Fraud becomes incredibly difficult. The whole system is transparent and easy to access. You finally get the one thing the old system could never give you, a single, reliable source of truth, available to anyone, instantly. And that brings us right back to the beginning. Specific performance is the law's way of saying it will protect unique promises. But that promise is only as strong as the system that's backing it up. So the real question for all of us is this. As our world goes digital, how do we build a legal system that isn't just playing catch-up, but is actually designed to make sure that a promise made is a promise kept?